energy awareness. Your thoughts?
So I see energy awareness. Well, it's so exciting. It's so exciting because it just continues to evolve and grow. Individually, like for each of us, I think for myself and then collectively. And energy awareness is, in my view right now, essential for well-being. It is essential for our human well-being and our spiritual well-being, because the energy awareness allows us to see beyond the surface. It allows us to see behind the words, behind the pictures, behind the illusions, and also then really start to not only have that awareness externally, but even more importantly, awareness within ourselves. And when we have awareness of energy that we're holding and how our own energy systems work, we know how to manage our energy. So that can look like, one, manage the things that come at us or towards us, or like the daily things in life. And so often we will just react to things, which is an energetic snapback. It's not a conscious experience. This is just a snapback. And when we're aware of like, okay, here's this energy, and we stop and we pause and we connect inward and we ask ourselves with our wise mind, how do I want to respond? Then with that practice, at first it's discipline in a way to, because if that's not our natural state, it can be disciplined to go like, okay, wait. I so badly wanted to do this. How do I actually want to respond? And that is one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves, is how do I want to respond versus reacting? Now, the path on that can take some time. And what it might look like at first, so like the tools that I teach, and I share this with my students, is that at first, like let's say the first week of the meditation class for intuitive development, great. So all you're going to do is you're going to meditate every day for 10 minutes, let's say, or however long. And then the next class we get together, I'm like, great. So how did meditation go? Do you have any questions? What were your experiences? And I'll watch where some people are like, I didn't even think about meditating. And then some people are like, I meditated every day for 30 minutes. And it was so great, right? Like everybody has different experiences. And what's important to recognize, again, it goes back to everybody's perfectly perfect right where they are on their own path. So the individual that's like, it didn't even come into my awareness to meditate. Now, what happens is that, oh, I went through all the energy I needed to get to the point where now I'm in the class. So obviously I'm engaged, but I'm at the point now where it's like, oh, I didn't think about it. Okay, great. Well, now probably next week, maybe this week I'll meditate. Right. And so then they're going to maybe put it on their schedule, or like they'll have a little bit more awareness to it. So then the following week, connect. Yes, I meditated once. And it's like, great. So it's about celebrating ourselves, not making ourselves wrong, and continually allowing ourselves to evolve and grow in higher vibrations, like with joy. So the energies of like joy, celebration, enthusiasm, curiosity, being in those higher levels, loving yourself through it, versus what a lot of times we do is we come down on ourselves. We judge ourselves. I didn't do this right. Oh my gosh, I should just drop the class. Or like, I didn't do this right in life. I'm not a good mom. I didn't do this. And instead of recognizing, oh, this is just part of my journey and part of my learning and growing. So it's the energetic awareness is us growing into higher consciousness and being aware of the energy and the pictures and the emotions that are there to then navigate, but also recognizing what is the energy we're in as we're navigating it.
I almost see the energy awareness in the piece that we spoke about earlier about spiritual awareness. They're not disconnected, but they do feed into one another, because one requires a conscious decision that I'm going to recognize who I'm at through your intuitive test, knowing, okay, maybe I'm this type of clairvoyant, and this is how I arrive in life right now, and this is how I can navigate better through the spiritual work, because it allows me to be more present. But then taking a step back for myself, what I can say is when I first met you through the Energy Awareness Summit, is I felt I was now ready in my point in my life to now really get it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's not wronging yourself for not have been ready to get it earlier or have not gotten it until now. It's like recognizing that everything you've moved through has brought you to this point and it's all perfectly aligned, right?
Well, yes, and you use words in your one of your videos. I just love your meditation about contraction and expansion. Now, when
Yeah.
going through your spiritual growth period, which for me, I started all of this at a very young age, but I've had ups and downs and different roads that brought me back. Um, each one of those, though, allowed me to become aware of where my spirit was at different
Mhm,
points.
mhm,
And then coming full circle now, I've had these conversations with people about everything is energy. We are
mhm,
all energy. We're all connected. And that would have been a very esoteric concept for me a few years ago.
mhm. Yeah, but it's truth. And it's actually, this is, we're at the point now where even science shows that thoughts are a vibration. The table's a vibration. So we can play with energy from the realm of either just intellectual science or from the spiritual experience, right? And it's funny, I remember even like junior high, I think this was the first time I had this thought between um like science and spirituality were opposites. And either you were scientific or you were spiritual, and you had to kind of like choose a boat. And I always like, I remember hearing that and I was going, no, they're connected. They're actually supporting each other. They're not separate. And so I think that if being in one boat or the other supports where you are and your involvement and growth, then great. But again, recognizing or being open to the possibility of, maybe they are connected. Maybe they do support each other. And maybe it's just different languaging or perspectives. It's like a kaleidoscope. You turn the kaleidoscope, you're looking at one thing. You turn the kaleidoscope a little bit and different colors and different patterns light up. It's the same idea. We're looking at the same thing. It's just different languaging and different ways, different perspectives. So the perspective or the way that resonates with you, fabulous. It doesn't matter the way, it's where are you getting to the picture? Are you getting to the thing that is actually pointed at? And that's the growth and the peace and the experience. And really it's pointing back to yourself and out to universe, God of your heart. Like, because universe, I mean, galaxy, this is very factual, right?
And the work that each of us do on an individual level, like you and I, whether it's our personal practice or just serving others, it requires that level of discipline, as you mentioned earlier, the doing the work. And it's work because I do have to in the morning set my intention, do my prayer, do my healing work and meditation. However, what it's doing for us is that it's elevating our vibrational energetic level.
Mm-hmm.
And so that then, as you were talking about looking through the lens,
Mm-hmm.
the vibrational perception of what we see and experience can be completely different from
Completely.
one practice to another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it is. It's about when we go back to the energy awareness, like the benefits of it is that you're start to become aware of what vibration you're at. In some of the classes that I teach, like I will bring people through vibrating at different emotions or different colors or different words, symbols, and you feel the sensation. You feel, and it might be a different sensation for each individual because it's a very personal journey, right? So I feel this in my body, the sensation of this when I'm vibrating at that energy. Now I know what it is. I'm aware of, oh, next time I feel this, I know what I'm feeling, which is so helpful. Then it's like, okay, I'm vibrating at this vibration. This is so uncomfortable. Can I allow myself just to be at this vibration without becoming it, identifying as it? I am an angry person. I am always this. We don't need to take on the label of the energy we're experiencing, rather than recognize it's an energy that's moving through us that we are experiencing. I'm experiencing the energy of anger. I'm experiencing the energy of joy. We're at these different vibrations. So then bringing you to that vibration, okay, this feels so uncomfortable. Great. Now I want you to clear that energy. And I teach tools of how to do that. Now come to this energy. And you start to recognize how different each of these energies are. And you can actually manage and navigate your space and your energy to vibrate where you want to be. Now there's no perfect picture in that, because trust me, I do not walk around all day long like there are hard things. There are challenges that come up. There are times where I'm knocked down and I'm like, okay, whew, I'm at this vibration. I might need to just sit here for a second at this vibration. Give myself that permission to be, but I'm aware of where I am. And I'm aware that I'm experiencing a vibration. I am not that vibration. So I'm keeping my personal power. Great. Now I'm ready to start to move it. Anger actually, I think anger gets a bad rap sometimes because it's seen as a bad thing. And I know for myself personally, like I had the hardest time. I could not express anger for many, many years. I was scared of it. And what I realized through meditation was that when I was younger, when somebody was angry, it was thrown at me and it was made my problem. It was harmful. So I didn't trust myself that if I got angry, that I wouldn't then hurt somebody else with words and things, right? So I just didn't want to experience it. But that was unhealthy anger. So anger is a problem only when we say, I'm angry, throw it at somebody, throw the energy at somebody, say, what are you going to do about it? It's your problem. But if I sit and I go, okay, I'm angry right now, and I let that run through me, it's actually like a fire that starts to burn out and clear out all the stuff that's lit up, that's ready to go. It's part of a healing. So letting it work for you, work on you, and not being afraid to feel any of these vibrations, actually practicing, okay, what does this feel like? Being in it, okay, I'm still alive. I've got this. Now, what vibration do I actually want to vibrate in? When my kids were super little, every day before I picked them to like even preschool, kindergarten, I'd say, okay, what color do you want your day to vibrate at? What color is your day? What color is your bubble? What energy do you want to experience today? Creativity, blue. They would just like say it because the kids just know, especially if they're in, again, that story space where their narrative is a positive one. And so it's recognizing like every day we get to do that. We get to say, okay, what do I want the dominant, the senior vibration to be within my day? Okay, I want it to be blue. I want it to vibrate at peace or creativity or whatever it might be. And just kind of holding that and setting the energy for my day. And then as I go about my day, yes, absolutely. Things are going to happen because life is happening, other people, things come into play. And it might kind of bring you out of that for a moment. But as a whole, like if you imagine that bubble of your day is in that vibration, then you can come back to it more quickly and more easily.
And it's interesting, you and I have had this connection about energy awareness. What I learned from that energy awareness summit you and I met at is that if you hold on to that energy, it turns into something unhealthy. If it's not recognized or become aware of through, say, meditation techniques and your own spiritual practice, whatever it is, but then also having a more outside in perspective saying, I see it, I feel it in my chest, or I feel it in my gut. Now, what are you going to do about it? Can you let it go?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And being willing to let it go, and also giving yourself permission to not have to let it go. There's one of my kids know this. I have a thing where if I'm expressing myself and I might have a little bit more emotion behind it. And I'm not riled up. I'm just speaking clearly, grounded. And somebody says to me, calm down. Oh, it just, because for me also those words and that picture behind it, and like I have a whole story about that I'm trying to decharge myself, because like it's just a go-to saying. I'm like, we got to cut it out, because the calm down aspect, it's an energy then that lights up in my space that then I have to move through to clear it, right? So we have these different ways of operating with these triggers, if you will, to start to move them out and become aware of them, and to recognize that we have the power to do that, though. So when we have that awareness, it doesn't make us immune from the thing. It allows us to start to clear it and change it and shift it.
And again, that ties back to, if you're not even aware, you can't fix it or change it or do anything with it, right?
Right, right. And I think it just runs a lot. What comes to mind, like I'm seeing this river. So I think that if there are individuals that have no interest in becoming aware or the growth and so forth, again, that's perfectly perfect right where they are, because that's where they need to be. And that it's like this river where there's just a lot of debris in it. So the water's always flowing. Like our energy, that's one of the only rules, right? Like there's change is the only constant. And so that energy is moving through. There's just a lot of debris. So it's a bit more challenging, more muddy, not as high of a vibration. The energy is lower. And that's just then the reality of that individual. So it's not that we have, like, if we aren't doing anything, I do believe that we still are healing and clearing, and the God of our heart and the universe, like all those things are working for us and with us. It's just going to be at a much slower pace. It might be a trickle instead of like this beautiful waterfall.
That's wonderful. And I am, just to kind of wrap it up, I know that energy, you mentioned words, you also mentioned environment, all of those, even like a table, just different vibrational levels. And tying that back to just the understanding that if all things is energy, then literally the words you speak, the clothes you wear, the food you digest, and all of that impacts your energy level. And I'm not even talking about physical energy, like, oh, I'm taking a cup of coffee and I've got more energy than normal. We're
Right.
talking overall.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. What we surround ourselves with, who we surround ourselves with, our environment, the thoughts that we think, the words that we speak, it's all creation. It's creating, and it's impacting our energy level and our energy, our personal energy space. So being able to recognize what they are, recognize that emotions are the language of the body. Emotions are a vibration. It's an energy that then speaks to us and calls our higher selves awareness to, like, hey, look at this in the body. That all of that is just information, is all information, and that we actually have a lot more capability than we're aware of to start to create our lives, and through the physical experiences and communication and thoughts and words and so forth. Yeah, because it
We
is.
can change the manifestation of what occurs in our life and what we attract through it.
And one of the things that I've said for a really long time is that we all know we all have heard, at least for most part, how to watch our thoughts. Like, the mindset is so important. And what I see behind that is that actually a thought is always connected to a picture, an image in the mind. And when we can stop and look at, okay, I just had this thought that, like, I'm not going to be successful, let's say, at whatever I'm trying to do. If we can stop and just be with that thought and ask ourselves, what is the picture? If I could make this into a visual image, what does that look like? Well, it looks like I'm, my hands are in my head and I'm over, hunched over, and I'm in this room and it's really messy, and like whatever the picture is, this person's over me, like getting mad at me. That's the core. So yes, change the thought, but I would invite those who want to play with this to look deeper into like, what is the image that the thought's connected to, and change the picture. Great. So you want success. What does that look like in your mind? Like one picture, what does that look like? Well, I'm upright. My posture's great. I'm so happy inside. I'm filled with my own vibration, the energy I want to be. I have all these, right? Like I'm wearing this color, like get specific, like what does that actual picture, and connect to that and let that lead. Because a picture leads to a thought, leads to the emotion, leads to the action.
And the metaphor you had described, now we've used it a couple of times. It was so perfect. This looking through the kaleidoscope and basically changing what you envision looking at.
Yes.
Working backwards.
Right. Because all of it is there for you. The negative image, the positive image, the lower vibrations, the higher vibrations, everything's available always. We get to choose what we want to amplify.
Wonderful, Aimee. I really enjoyed our conversation today. Both parts of our podcast, the spiritual awareness and the bigger arching picture of energy awareness, and how much more powerful we are, how much more we are than just the thoughts or the body.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's so exciting. And I think one of the best things about it too is that it never ends. I think that there's a continual ability to expand and grow and become more aware and conscious. And that is just the most exciting thing, I think.
Wonderful. Well, I will leave the guests with all of your information so that they can continually grow and learn from you on both of these concepts. They're basically interconnected.
Yes, they really are. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Aimee. It was an absolute pleasure. Hope to have you back soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.